welcoming Mayur Milak, the Senior Vice President with Asian Market Securities, and Sai Giridhar, the Vice President with FADA. Mayur, coming to you first, Bajaj Auto, that stock is down around 12%. Now, obviously, one of the major reasons behind this fall is the fact that the management commentary, which suggested that the festive demand sales were quite weak. What other reasons could be the factor behind this 12% fall that we are seeing in the share prices?
I don't know really to comment on that 12% thing, but I think two things that I'd like to highlight. One, of course, that valuations in this sector have continued to be rich, on the rich side, for quite some time now. A lot was really looked forward to in terms of how the festive demand would look like. Not to take away the fact that last year we are already on a high base. So really expecting a 10 to 20% kind of growth on that high base was really an impossible task to achieve. So I think that really has come to the foreplay now. Right now, I think people are realizing that this is going to end like a 2 to 5% kind of growth, for which these kind of valuations are really not justified in the long run. So I'd say this is more like a value correction than anything, particularly for Bajaj Auto. That is the final crore loss that they have provided for. I think that also should not be really overlooked. This is really coming from one of their associates, overseas associates. Now, if you made a 2,000 crore profit for yourself and you're registering a 500 crore associate loss, I think that would have also had some kind of impact on this individual stock fall.
Mr. Sai, bringing you also into this conversation, what are the early trends suggesting? How are the festive demand sales looking like? Is it as weak as what the Bajaj Auto management suggested yesterday on the call?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Bajaj, what they've suggested, but what we've seen from the Vahan data for first 10 days of the festivity is that there is a double-digit growth. And if you talk about two-wheeler segment in particular, it's approximately 12% growth if you compare it with last year. So we are still bullish and we are still believing that we'll be able to achieve a 20% growth in this festivity period. Last year, the entire festival of 42 days, there were approximately 38 lakh vehicles which were sold across India. This year, we are targeting approximately 45 lakhs. And we think that we are in line because if you see that first 10 days contribute 20% of the entire amount of vehicles which are being sold. And then we are in line of achieving approximately 45 lakh vehicles for the entire 42 days of festivity.
So, sir, for the entire festive period, what is the kind of growth that you're expecting on the sales number on a YY basis?
So we are expecting approximately 20% growth. So this growth is in line with what happened last year. If you see last year in 2023, approximately 38 lakh vehicles were sold. It was a growth of 19% over 2022. And last year, if you remember, the vehicles were not available. The variants were not available. Customer actually had to make compromise while buying the vehicles his choice was not there with the dealers. This time around, the scenario is different. The dealers are flush with stocks. The availability is there. Whatever the customer wants, it's available off the shelf. The finances are there. And if you see, the discounts are actually speaking, or the schemes are on the peak. If this is the same trend which we're seeing as far as schemes are concerned, which was there relevant in 2018-19. So probably this is the time wherein you get the maximum benefits as far as the customer is concerned. So one thing is more contributing towards this is that we had anticipated some kind of a pent-up demand, because if you see last few months, be it with the high temperatures earlier and then with the continuous rain across India, we had anticipated some kind of a pent-up demand, and we are seeing that thing now getting materialized with the 10% growth which has been, or the double-digit growth which we have seen in the first 10 days of Navratri.
And Mayur, what are your channel checks suggesting? How have been the early trends for auto companies, and what are dealers suggesting to you?
I think from what we gathered, we are looking at more like a 5% kind of growth is what we've kind of calculated. I'm not too sure how the data pans out in future, but yes, I think I would rather read it like this, that, as pointed out, last year was a very good season. And if you're doing that kind of growth, a 4-5% growth also, should not really be super disappointing, at least not to the disappointment that we are seeing in the stock price. But I think the stock price correction is more to do with value correction rather than a particular event.
And Mayur, do you believe that for the full financial year also all the auto companies will be able to meet their sales volume guidance?
So I think, see, by and large, the large anticipation is about 6 to 8% volume growth. I mean, see, in India, last 2-3 years, we've seen more of a value growth preposition than a volume growth, right? We've been on the premiumization path. We've actually given a better realization growth to the companies than an overall volume growth. So I think that trend seems to be maintained. I'm not seeing a huge risk of a serious downcut. I think by and large the street was anticipating about 6 to 8%, and this is where we should be, I think.
Well, thank you, Mayur, for joining us and for giving us all those details. Mr. Sai, coming to you on the fact that for the full financial year, what is the kind of volume numbers that you're expecting?
So overall, we are expecting growth. So it would depend in next 30 days how the trend sets up. And with the first 10 days, it looks quite positive. In fact, if you talk about on-ground situation, we've seen a 3x or 4x increase depending on region in India as far as the inquiry level is concerned. So there's a good, healthy bank of inquiries which is there. I think convergence will happen. Probably we should wait for next 30 days to come in. We will see the growth with which we are anticipating.
Okay, sir. Then can you just explain why there is this disconnect between the auto OEM and what you are suggesting? Because Rakesh Sharma yesterday on the call specifically said that the festive season sales have not been that encouraging, and you're seeing a double-digit growth and you're expecting a 20% growth for the full festive season. Why is there this disconnect?
See, as far as we are concerned, we are talking about numbers from Vahan. So if you want me to be specific, I'm talking about 3rd October till 12th October as far as the dates are concerned. And same period, if you see, last year was 15th October to 24th of October. There is a double-digit growth. Two-wheeler segment, there is a 12% growth. And these are Vahan, these are actual numbers which we are talking about. And one thing which I would like to highlight over here is, see, this festivity is more about the kind of schemes which are available on the variants, on the models. And if in case there are companies who've come in with new models and still they're offering some schemes to the customers during the festivity, because there are customers in the market. The only thing is who's capturing more customers. That's the only reason. Because overall, what we've seen is that there is a growth. So why a specific manufacturer or OEM is saying that probably he's seeing a flattish growth comparing last year, I don't know. I can't comment on that.
Then, sir, as per your internal checks, and which is the manufacturer that is gathering more customers?
So we've not for first 10 days we've not gone into OEM. We've taken it more into the segment wise. If you talk about segment specific, all the segments are in green, barring tractor. Tractor is the only thing which is a bit worrisome. It's in negative, but rest all the segments are in positive, and overall there is a double-digit growth if you talk about.
Okay, and you are also talking about number of schemes been increased. So has the discounting on overall basis been higher compared to what it was in the last festive season?
It's at least 2x to 3x higher than last year. Last year there were hardly any discounts available on vehicles. This year is more about discounts. This year is more about schemes, creating that festival kind of a feel for the customer. So you can't compare it with last year. Last year it was more on the availability of models. This year it's more on the discounts which are available on the vehicles.
Saying that given the fact that OEMs have stocked up inventories with dealers, the discounting has also jumped nearly 2 to 3 times compared to what it was in the last festive season.
Absolutely. And if you want to be specific, probably passenger segment is one segment wherein we've seen a record buildup of stocks as far as with the dealers are concerned, and probably we feel that probably by the end of the festivity there would be some kind of a ease of pressure as far as the inventories are concerned.
Lastly, sir, before we let you go, could you also touch upon on how sales have been for premium bikes?
So specifically, if you want me to answer, we've not gone through the details as far as the premium bikes are concerned. But overall, if you talk about two-wheeler segment, there has been a growth of 12% in first 10 days of Navaratri.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Giridhar. I just wanted to lastly ask you about the electric two-wheeler sales. How is that looking to you actually at this point in time?
So electric looks promising. See, now you see the mainline players coming into electric. So electric looks promising, and the growth is there as far as electric is concerned. And even in four-wheeler, in fact, four-wheeler probably would see the maximum growth if you talk about after the festivity.
All right, then we leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us in ET Now to give us an understanding exactly what's happening with the auto sector, especially when you talk about the sales, the discounts, as well as the inventory. Thank you so much, Mr. Sai Giridhar, for joining us on the show this afternoon.
There comes a time when your heart calls for you to arise. Plant your feet solid into the ground. Decide your own limits. And then break right through them. Become something more. It's my time to rise.